Last year I took a countryside walk beyond the end of the Metropolitan line at Chesham to a station called Kings Langley, one stop north of Watford Junction, which is partly situated under the M25 motorway. This year I thought I'd pick up on that walk and continue further east, so join me as we discover what lies around this part of the country. I've not been on one of these trains before under the LNWR name. I've been on the West Midlands Railway variant, which I prefer because of the more brighter orange and purple colours. One thing that's changed since last year is that contactless payments are now valid at Kings Langley, but with a rail card it's just cheaper to still get a paper ticket. I can spot the Ovaltine factory down there. That was a highlight of last year's walk, right at the end. And it hasn't taken too long on this year's one to pass, well, over or under the M25. I see a bridge, it'll be over. So we're within the circle of the M25 today, but none of the walk will be in London. We will remain in Hertfordshire. It also seems like I'm accidentally walking a bit of the Hertfordshire way this morning across this field. You wouldn't know it right now, but I am just in the middle of the Watford and surrounding area suburbs. There is an urban element to today's walk. There will be parts of it along roads, but I'm going to seek out the more peaceful spots, the parks, green spaces, woodlands. And that suburb is Langley. Now, first of all, Kings Langley station opened 2 years later than the railway line through it in 1837 and was known for a time as Kings Langley and Langley station, which is quite convoluted. I've just noticed as I was walking by that this building is disused. Seems like it would have belonged to the social services. This door was unhooked, so I thought I'd come in and have a little look. Glass on the floor, they're not accessible. It's all very overgrown. Kind of surprised no window in here has been smashed, to be honest. This is open though. But yeah, it looks like everything's kind of stripped out. I wonder if that door is possible. Nah. Worth a try though, you never know. Just imagine if it's locked behind me. I could probably climb that though. Oh, I actually thought it did then. Leavesden Hospital sewage pumping station. I was actually just about to talk about that, which is interesting. This looks disused as well though. Leavesden Country Park is my next destination, a place I've wanted to visit for quite a few years actually, and it has quite a notable history, from an aerodrome to a Rolls-Royce factory, but what is probably most relevant to our walk today, an old hospital that would have sat here until the mid-90s. Now there's little remains of it to see today as the whole site has essentially been redeveloped, but there are a couple of old buildings tucked away at the side here, including an old chapel. I'm sat in a director's chair, which is very much foreshadowing our next location. I'm just very pleased, by the way, that it's a nice hot sunny day, probably the last true day of summer, because so far this month in September weather's been pretty miserable, hasn't it? So that's why I wanted to take the opportunity today to head out and do a walk somewhere. So I've now made it on up to the old Leavesden Aerodrome, which has since turned into film studios. Most notably, all 8 Harry Potter films were filmed here, if they weren't on location of course. A lot of the sets from Harry Potter can still be seen. It's become a real tourist attraction. I was hoping to get a shot of one of the Harry Potter buses that takes people from Watford Junction station to here this morning, but there wasn't any. A lot of people were waiting at the bus stop though, very busy. More busy perhaps than the bus heritage day from last weekend. Am I the only person who walks here, doesn't get the bus, doesn't drive, and then doesn't even go in? There's a lot of talks currently about a new Harry Potter TV show, which is supposedly going to be much more true to the books. Overall, I do prefer a series to a film, just because there's so much more content in it, so much more hours of screen time, and just get so many more stories and character developments taking place. So on with our planned route, and this is a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier, because I've just done some suburban street walking and then all of a sudden I'm in the middle of some woods. But I think down there I'm eventually going to come across a rather busy road that I'm going to have to cross. And after some more suburban street walking, you think I've just hit a dead end here, but tucked into the corner there's a very familiar sign. So surprisingly, the platform is actually a public footpath here at Garston Station, just as a train is pulling in. So this is probably the closest station to the Warner Brothers studios, but it would struggle with the crowds if people were coming here on this single platform station on this single track branch line up from Watford Junction to St Albans Abbey. This station opened much later than the other stops on the Abbey line in 1966, and it is said that it is one of, if not the very first, new station to open post Beeching Acts, when like 2,000 stations closed. So good old Garston. But I've not even used this station before, and I'm not going to today either. I'm simply just passing through. That's interesting, that sign calls it a halt station. No guesses where I'm going next. So Garston undoubtedly has a local park, but this isn't the green space that I'm interested in. Where I want to get to is on the other side of the M1. On the other side of not just the motorway, but the single track branch line 2, there's a whole host of woodland that I'm pretty much going to be spending the rest of the walk in, as the next two stations up the line both have wood in their name. So similarly to Garston, how that station just popped out of nowhere in the middle of the suburbs, the same can be said for Bricketwood in the middle of the woods. There is a road though, to be fair. And I've gotten here just as a train is arriving again, which to be fair is about 10 minutes late running. Oh, now hold up. This is a pleasant surprise. The whole station has a very heritage feel to it. The old signs, London North Western Railway. It's even on the benches. I love that. Does Bricketwood Station also straddle a parish boundary too? That's pretty cool. And this is completely unexpected to me, because Bricketwood is the only intermediate station on the Abbey line which I have used before. Back in 2019, I even still had London Midland signs then, not the green LNWR ones, which aren't even here. They're all heritage signs, which is great. I think this is the only station on the line to retain its station building, and there was once a second platform here, ironically taken up in 1966, the same year that Garston Station opened. But I think they are working towards bringing back a passing loop on this line, so it's not just single track all of the way. It's a very odd line. They've never really known what to do with it, to be honest. There was even plans to convert it to like a light rail system, make it like a tram that runs between Watford and St Albans, but that never ended up happening. Yeah, it's a very odd little line, but I'm glad to return to it 6 years on to see the difference to this station here in particular. The reason why I came here in 2019, and it's so surreal to be standing here now, was because I had heard that there was a disused leisure centre around here, and I took a bit of a gamble to see if I could get in, and I could. And it's a good thing I did, because ever so shortly afterwards it was demolished and now it's been turned into a whole brand new development. I remember looking across at this point and seeing the disused building in the distance, hoping that I could get in, but it's so much more accessible now, which is very, very odd. I remember hiding in a bush somewhere just over there because me and a friend who I was with thought that security was here, but it turned out it was just other explorers. I can't express to you how odd it feels to just be walking through a relatively normal suburb, but just knowing what this place used to be, that it was a disused site the last time I walked across it. That building remains the same. Must be listed, right? I have a feeling there was a sign on it that said asbestos. Going to assume it's been cleaned out now. It's amazing how quickly things can change. This is now just hundreds of people's livelihoods, and yet I remember it just being nothing not too long ago. There wouldn't be an ice cream truck passing through last time. The last time I would have walked through Bricket Wood was in 2021, where I followed the majority of the River Ver, pretty much along the entirety of the Abbey line from Watford Junction to St Albans Abbey. And I had passed the listed building to the south, which I think is where I entered the leisure centre grounds in 2019. And there was already elements of the new builds here, but it's a total different experience walking through when it's complete. I didn't realise that I'd be crossing the M25 for a second time today. I shouldn't be surprised by it, really. I probably have as much distance to the station as I did from the start of the walk to the first motorway crossing. I thought I'd have a final section of woodland to walk through, but I don't. It's more open heathland instead, with the drone of the motorway cars to keep me company. This is delightful though. Very nice final section of the walk. And this is another station that just appears out of nowhere. How would I get home from here? Well, by train, of course. Having to cross the single track line. How Wood is the newest station on the line, opening in 1988, even newer than Garston. How Wood isn't even part of the walking map here. I was going to go a little further today to Park Street station. I did use St Albans Abbey. I reversed there after my visit to Bricket Wood. We passed by Garston today. I have to come back and use that one day, so we'll probably do a walk between Garston and Park Street, which leaves just one more station on the line. And considering we started at a station I've already used today, I thought I'd take the opportunity to tick this one off too on my way home. Right, I'm getting on the floor for this clip so I can be near the sign. This is probably the Watford station most people forget about. You probably know the one at the end of the Metropolitan line. I feel like most people know Watford Junction. Watford High Street is a bit of an oddity because the London Overground makes a significant curve, to call it, away from the main line. But this one stop north on the Abbey line, single track, single platform. Probably not many people have heard of it. I keep saying in my mind North Watford, but it's not. It's Watford North. Though for the first 27 years of its life, from 1910, it was actually known as Callowland, and it's where I end my adventure today. So thank you for coming along with me on another trip. I'm sure we'll be out on another walk soon, but probably don't have many rural summer ones left. There's a lot of